djnet.tv. Tuesday evening, 9:30, and it's time for Del Didway to come our way, which he will do. He's in our green room, and we are streaming. We are sending the bumper. We got everything ready. Let's do a countdown to Studio 21, starting now. Starting now. Really, we're going to start now. 4, 3. I did not click the mouse with enough conviction and got the countdown out of our way. Well, as you can tell from the decor of Studio 21, tonight we are all about, Del Didway. He comes our way here, and even better than that, we've got him from his studio office. As soon as I can capture it, I'll put him on the screen, because we've been kind of re-engineering some things, and we kind of reverted back to the old microphone, or it's actually everything's still new. I'm going to get Del on here. I'll do some fine adjustments. Del, you start talking, I'll adjust everything. Del,
you're always tinkering with something.
It's like the guy that kill it with kindness, maintenance type thing. But it's baseball season, and I'm not much of a baseball guy, but you have done well with Dugout Devotions. You've got Volume 1 and Volume 2, highlighting a bunch of baseball people. Tell us about baseball season.
Well, it started, and I hope to. I'm gonna be in Pittsburgh next week for a few days. I hope to maybe grab a couple of games if I'm able to, if I have time, and if my passes get approved. So I may go catch a couple of Pirate games if I'm able to. The Dodgers are in town, so I may try to swing in there for a little bit if I have time and if I'm able to. So that's PNC's park. It's a great park. It's one of the best in Major League Baseball. It's just beautiful. It's just the skyline. It's just a great park.
How's the food?
It's really good. It's really good there. They do a really good job. They're very friendly. I mean, they're friendly when I went to the Steelers game. Pittsburgh's just a fun, friendly city. I mean, for a blue collar town, everybody's really hospitable, and it's a blue collar, hard working town, and everybody's just don't get in the way, just stay out of people's business and enjoy the game, and people are nice to you. Well,
it can. We can all do that. We could all. I used to go to Pittsburgh once a year to watch a Steelers game, even though I'm not a fan of any particular ball team. But I had a business associate up there, and that was our recreational visit, or business visit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Really cleaned it up over the last 10 years. It's really beautiful town.
It used to be a nasty town, my dad said.
Yeah, it was dingy and dark from all the coal and all the mining town and all the steel. And they've really, Mount Washington is now developed. The restaurants overlook it. It's really family-friendly town. Very pretty city.
Well, Del, I was thinking about you as I've been watching some of the events. I know that you've made a career move, and I don't know if you're still on every board you used to be on, but you have been and may still be on the Ohio Right to Life. Is that correct me if I'm wrong there?
We are affiliated with them. I was on that board for some time, on the Ohio Right to Life board, and I was an honor to serve on that. And then one of my better friends is president of Ohio Right to Life, and we were texting last night, and when everything kind of went when everything developed, I guess would be a good word to say, or broke, and he was on the phone talking to the governor, who will probably still be our governor tonight, and Mike DeWine. So a lot of activity over the last 24 hours. I'm not as involved as I used to be. I mean, we're still involved. I mean, I'm not. My wife is more involved on our local end. She's an officer in our county Right to Life. In fact, I was out of town, but they just had in Abby Johnson last week to speak,
Oh, you mentioned that. Yeah,
yeah,
she's the one that survived an abortion, right?
No, that was Jenna Jessen.
Right.
Abby
She's
Johnson
the one that
worked for Planned Parenthood, and based on the movie Unplanned, that was her life story. So she was in town to give an educational talk, and it went well. Good turnout from what I hear, and some names were changed. So she was posting last night, and everybody was on their phones and social media last night.
I got a call from Roger, an old friend of PJNet, and he's one of the more serious. I'm trying to compare him with somebody we would know. He's brilliant, and he always sees things with such clarity, and he sees things that a lot of us miss, that are on the fringes or in the background, or we see the headlines. He was, and he's a devout Catholic, and he called me last night. It was late. It was after 10 p.m. And he said, Mark, he said, the news, it should not be taken, the headlines should not be taken at face value. This is far from over. And he was cautioning me to this optimism is premature. What do you think?
I disagree with that. I think what's happening is, the people going crazy is as expected on this, and the passion. I don't even want to say passion. That those on the other side are spewing. It's not passion. I don't believe it's we have a passion, and they're hard to find a word to describe it, venom or something like that, or just hatred. So when that broke last night, we were going kind of flirting around. I think it's legitimate. I think what's happening is real, and it's about time. From what we understand and we've read, the original Roe v. Wade, from what everybody says, is a very shoddy piece of law or a judgment. So it's what it should be doing. It's taking a biblical issue and making it political, and to put it back, I guess where it belongs more. I guess it would be the state. It doesn't belong at all. I don't think it's it's if you follow God's law, it shouldn't be even up for debate. But to put it back at the state level is where it should be to begin with. So let states decide, and everybody who's on the other side is now becoming unhinged because you got your Joy Behars and your Whoopi Goldbergs on there saying, just showing how ignorant they really are, and how they never let facts sway their opinion. So they're on there spewing hatred, saying it's going to end abortions, and it won't. It'll just, I hope it does, but it won't. It'll just send it back to the states.
It'll end it in some state. Well, okay. Well, there's two issues here, Dell. There's a legal issue, and there's a moral issue. Okay. On the moral issue, if you believe life begins at conception, well, the legal issue doesn't matter, does it? Life begins at conception, and that's that. Okay, and that. Right. Okay. Now, but I am critical of the Roe v. Wade decision on two counts. One is, I've read the Constitution, and the Constitution is in fact silent on this matter.
Yes, it is.
It is silent, and so the 10th Amendment says that anything, not any power not specifically given, any of the 18 enumerated powers in in Amendment 10 are reserved by the states and by the people. Well, this doesn't fit any of those. So I think that the Supreme Court was wrong to even hear the case back in 1973.
Well, there's a lot of folks who take that side who agree with that.
Right. So regardless of what their decision was, I don't think they should have heard the case. They should have said, or if they heard the case, they should have said, you know what, the Constitution is silent on this matter. Right. Well, instead, they did hear the case. And Antonin Scalia has given the best summary of how this went that I've ever heard, and I'll just agree with him. He says this. He says, you have a right to life that's guaranteed. However, that right can be reversed, but only after due process. Okay, due process. And he said when they heard this case, the court, the justices, literally invented out of thin air a new legal doctrine called substantive process. In other words, the deliberations of the mother constituted due process.
Right.
And therefore, and then they ruled as they did. Okay, well, let's take that to the next step. If after the baby is born, if the mother, or for that matter, the father, just decides to take the life of the baby, don't they consider it, and isn't that substantive due process? Where, this is nuts.
It is. It's just, yeah, it is. It's a horrible issue that we even have to talk about. I mean, there's several, you can go back and there's 13, 15 verses in the Bible that talk about it. And so you can go back and forth on that. But I think the greatest quote, and you can't come back, there's no comeback to it, even from those who are for abortion. When Ronald Reagan said, he said, "I've noticed that everybody who is for abortion has already been born." And you just can't come back to that quote, because
I think he said against abortion has already been born.
They've already been born. So
he was a good communicator. But there is, in my opinion, as you mentioned, let's suppose for a moment that the Supreme Court does reverse Roe v. Wade, either now or in the future. Okay?
June.
Well,
Maybe in June.
Yeah, what that means. Okay, prognosticator. What that means is the federal government cannot tell the states that they cannot decide. In other words, the decision did not, quote, make abortion legal. What it actually did is made it illegal for the government to declare a state law against abortion unconstitutional. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it will also take away all the federal funding for abortion clinics, because it won't be a federal matter anymore. That's what they're really upset about, taking money out of their pockets.
It's always the money, isn't it?
It's all about the money. Yeah,
it's the money. Roger says that about a third of the states already have laws on the books prohibiting abortion. About a third,
Ohio's one of them.
About a third of states, abortion would still be legal in those states, and the other third will be kind of in between. You can do it under certain circumstances or after certain protocols and rules. So it doesn't prohibit abortion.
No, it'll just move back to the state level. We were on the floor of the Ohio House of Representatives, Angie and I were, a couple of years ago when they passed the heartbeat bill, which was really, at that time, a controversial piece of state legislation that went through, which said, once a heartbeat's detected, then they cannot do an abortion. So that, we were there. It was kind of exciting. And it kind of makes sense, right? If something has a heartbeat, it's living. Even though, and you can go back to conception. When something's growing, right, it means it's alive, right? Something dead doesn't grow, does it? Not to my knowledge.
Well, yeah.
I don't think if something's dead, it's not going to grow. So if the baby inside is as big as my fingernail, and a couple days later it's a little bigger, it means there's life, right? It's growing.
It would seem. Well, I guess a very convincing argument to me is let's suppose that I'm walking the beach and come across some turtle eggs and destroy them or whatever.
Yeah, you'll be in jail.
Yeah.
Or puppies or something.
Yeah, I mean, we have the law seems to make an exception.
Yeah.
For human life.
But there are a lot of cases when a drunk driver kills a female and she's pregnant, and they also charge him with murder of that baby.
Right, manslaughter. Yeah.
But if she goes and does an abortion, the same woman, then it's okay. I don't understand that.
Yeah. So it's again, I try to assess the issue from two sides. One, the moral side, and that's a slam dunk. Okay.
You'd think
life begins at conception. That's it. But then on the legal side, is when does the state When do your protections from the state begin? That gets
Well,
more complex.
well, there's many states doing the heartbeat bill. Once the heartbeat's detected, typically 8, 9, 10 weeks, there's a heartbeat. Then they say you cannot abort. So a lot of states have gone down that way. In fact, I've kind of proposed a book to that nature, but I can't get anybody to buy it. So
Uh-huh.
a lot of states in the Midwest did that. Uh,
What's interesting, they knew that if passed, they were unconstitutional and not null and void. They were of no effect. But
well,
they did it anticipating a Supreme Court reversal.
yes, because one of the arguments that Ohio Right to Life made was when this was passed, they were hoping it would be challenged. They were hoping that the pro-death side would challenge it because they said we feel this could stand up in court and overturn Roe v. Wade. So this has been in the making for quite a while. It's just a fly-by-night thing. This has been a long-standing goal for years.
Okay, Dale, I want to ask you a question that there is no good answer for. I served on the board, similar to you, in a pro-life organization, and there was a bill being proposed in Florida at that time that would require certain waiting periods. You had to wait 3 days to get an abortion. Of course, now some of the people advocating this bill approached our ministry and said, we'd like you to sign on and support this bill because it would save lives.
Yeah.
Dell, we struggled with it. I struggled with it.
Yeah.
But we ultimately decided that we were not going to lend our support to the bill. And the reasoning was that it would implicitly be saying that, well, we're against abortion unless you wait 3 days, but if you wait 3 days, it's okay. And of course, then we realized that, lives would be saved, but the decision to make the abortion, to do an abortion, was not our decision.
Right.
Okay, the responsibility for that decision did not rest with us. So we opted, but many Christians and many organizations have supported these bills, and I am convinced, Dell, that without these incremental changes, okay, we could never win.
Okay. Right.
So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Again, that goes. People can really get caught up in like the little sub languages of that. But there was a great case that I reported on. I was just trying to look it up. The Ohio Senate bill. A good friend of ours sponsored this bill, and it took him a couple of sessions, a couple of years to get it through, to get it passed. And I was trying to find it. But anyway, what it dealt with, when this had nothing to do with abortion, but people thought it did. And what it was they found out that in the state investigation, there was these remains, these fetus remains of aborted children were being found in this landfill, right, over in Kentucky. And so investigation found out that what these centers in Cincinnati and Columbus were doing was having the abortions, taking the unborn baby that they killed and dumping it in a landfill in Kentucky, right? So, and this was proved. This was fact. This was going on, and so there was a worker at the landfill found them, and this was hundreds and hundreds. And so Senator Eaker at the time tried to get a bill passed that would just say, hey, if you do these abortions, at least bury the child with dignity. Don't just toss it in the trash can and toss it in the dumpster. And it took a couple of years to get that passed.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, and that was just disgusting. That they just toss it away. And so they finally passed it that whoever performed the abortion had to either pay for the burial or have something. So what they ended up doing, they just tacked that expense on. Give it a proper burial. Give the baby a proper burial. And NARAL and those folks, they were against that. They just hate life to that much to where they don't even want it buried. They just toss it in the trash. And that was when Mike DeWine, who's now governor, was attorney general. So that was at least 4 years ago when that was going on. It took two years to get that passed.
That's almost a no-brainer. I mean, Dale,
You think?
what about? I mean, if a veterinary clinic euthanizes an animal, I mean, there's got to be. They don't just toss it out the back.
Or puppy? Oh yeah, or puppies. If they found a bunch of dead puppies, they'd be burning the place down.
They'd be shrieking. Yeah,
they'd be taking in guns and stuff to the place.
Yeah.
So
well, no, they don't use guns.
yeah, these guns. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
pitchforks and torches. Yeah.
Yeah, gasoline and torches. So yeah, the society's. Sometimes I like it where I'm at. We have some crazies here, but not as many as some of the big cities do. So.
Well, Dale, you're fortunate to live in a state
for now.
where I love what you said out in California.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't even know what you're talking about.
Regime? What are you talking about? And people are leaving that state by the droves. I saw a report tonight. There are 280,000 people have left California.
Did I see?
And so what'll happen there was they're going to end up losing some house seats because of that.
Tell me about it. Did I see where Texas has offered Twitter 100 acres of free land if they'll relocate there?
Yeah, well, Musk took Tesla there, so
Yeah.
and the people who are working there, their heads are exploding because the one guy who was over censorship was making $17 million. That was his salary. And he was over censorship.
Well, if I was making that much, I'd have to censor a lot of people to justify that kind of money. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you were one of them. So so we were able to get on Truth Social, Trump's social media, and very similar to Twitter. It's fun. You should get on.
Yeah.
I have the same handle, so on everything. So Truth Social is a lot of fun.
Well, Dale, maybe by the next time we get together, there will be. Or soon will be. I mean, this could be a dawn of a new day in our culture.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of our allies overseas. We support Israel. Well, let me tell you, abortion they're more liberal on that than we are.
They are.
And a lot of these countries that are our allies, I bet you we would be the first country to ever do something like this. And maybe we have a chance. Yeah,
maybe we get the ball rolling a little bit here, on that. But no, I appreciate everybody being out there. It's always and Ben had a good show. So they got devotions too. Yeah, thank you for putting it up there. Sports Shorts is still doing all right. Looking forward to the fall launch of our Florida State books. There you go. And trying to get some folks to endorse our Florida State and Florida books. So if you want to do that, send me a DM or a message, and we'll get that to you right away. And we sent in a proposal to Kyle a couple weeks ago for a book. Hopefully, he'll get it shopped around to some folks.
Well, you stay busy, Dale. And,
I do. It's fun.
You're gonna have to kind of trim it back to like 2 books a year now or something, right?
Well, if it goes on tap right now, I'll have 1 next year, so maybe 2. But I'll have 3 this year come out, and then relaunching 2. So I guess you'd say 5, I guess. But no, we're relaunching 2 of them.
Yeah.
So so before this fall, and then hopefully 1 next year, and start pacing them out a little bit. But it's a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay. Well, Dale, I know you're a busy guy, and we appreciate you taking your time out, to share with us, and we appreciate the work that you and your peers have done for life, and hopefully that there's a brighter day coming, and we'll find out. But thank you for carrying the torch on that, and we'll see you about this time
in 2 weeks. So we'll see you in Pittsburgh next week, right?
If that's where you'll be, that's where we'll do it.
No, I thought you were going to come up to Pittsburgh.
Oh, I don't hold your breath, but maybe I'll come to Ohio.
My favorite restaurant's up there. Well, one of our favorite restaurants is up there. Angie and I like to go to Monterey. Is it Monterey? Or what's it called? Monterey Bay Fish Grotto up on in Pittsburgh.
Is it up on that hill where you take the
Yeah,
trolley?
it's up on Washington Mountain, and it overlooks.
Yeah.
It's up on the 13th floor, and it's all glass, so you can look out over the point.
Wow.
And, yeah, it's beautiful and really, really great seafood.
Well, take a picture of it and put it on social media.
I did several months ago when we were there. We took a picture with our. We were overlooking Heinz Field, and from the restaurant, we could see Heinz Field and PNC Park, and yeah, it's all glassed in, so everybody has a great view.
I always like your fire pit pictures because
Oh yeah, it'll be this weekend probably.
Do you ever cook anything in that fire pit, or is it just for aesthetics?
No, hot dogs and stuff on the grill. S'mores are s'mores, I guess. They're in the fire pit, but no, we just like it. A lot of deer come around.
You're living the dream, man.
Nice.
I'm gonna have.
Sometimes it's a nightmare.
Well, what we do is take the basin of the washing machine.
Yeah.
It's already got the holes in it and everything. Just weld some legs to it. Makes a pretty good fire pit. Yeah.
That's all you need.
That's
all right. We'll see you.
All right, man. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate you, brother. All right, that was Dale Duduit, and you never know, folks. Let me. I know it's late, and many of you you're still in the chat room, so let me bring up to speed. I know the sound has been. We're experimenting with some sound things. I've got some new microphones, and we're trying to do better, and but we're trying to find that sweet spot. So I know last episode was kind of wonky. I'll be watching the tape, but we're going to keep tweaking that out. And we do have some new cameras, and got more cameras coming. And this is all in preparations for some events that we want to bring PJNet to you, closer to you. We want to take some trips up to the Carolinas and spend a Saturday with have kind of a PJNet family reunion. And so one of the cameras I just showed you last hour, it's kind of neat. It's actually like a GoPro, but it's a knockoff. But that's actually a 4K camera, and it's like a third of the price of a GoPro. Not the best optics in the world, but anyway, it'll work. Well, folks, I'm going to start doing some of that work now on the studio. But before I do that, let's sign it off by doing this. Ask yourself 2 questions. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And second, how long ago was that? And the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.